Hey guys, I'm back. I'm growing my hair out because I don't give a shit anymore. Great place to be in. I can highly recommend it. I have traveled to nearly 100 countries in my life and I have quite an overview of places I love, places I don't like so much, but I decided to make a video about my favorites. So these are my top 5 places to be, to live, to travel. Some places I really love, but I don't consider them a place to live necessarily. But that is according to my conditioning. If you're a little bit like me, you value like-minded community, a bit on the conscious side. I don't like people who drink a lot. I don't like to party that much anymore. I like good food, exotic food. I love surfing, very important for me. I love the ocean. I like sunshine most of the time, but I also don't mind a couple of rainy, stormy days for the sake of integration and winding down and facing your inner voices. I reckon it's a good idea to sometimes not want to escape outward all the time. Let's start with Portugal. I'm European. I was born in Berlin. My parents traveled a lot with me when I was younger. That opened my heart and my mind, but still, a part of me feels more at home within Europe. I'm at the very southwestern tip, so I'm almost out of it, but I still don't see myself living outside of Europe because it provides all those illusory safety factors, you know? Of course, I can be here. Portugal is part of the EU. I reckon the medical system is quite similar to the one in Germany. Prices are pretty much the same. Petrol is a little bit cheaper, you know, right now due to the energy crisis. A liter of diesel ranges around 1.90 to 2 euro. In Germany, I reckon that's like 30 cents more. Groceries are just about as expensive as everywhere else right now. You can get a coffee in a local place for €1, or you go to the fancier gentrification coffee shops that pop up everywhere and sell really good coffee, and you pay like around 3.50 to 4 euro. The surf is, of course, good. Days like this at the south coast are really rare. Short wave period, dreamy, glassy, playful. While on the west coast, things can get heavy and rough. Surf all kinds of levels. The weather in summer is pretty hot. There's always a fresh breeze by the ocean. Further you go inland, the hotter it gets. Winter was very rough this time. We had like catastrophic amounts of rain. The year before, the rain only started in March and most of the winter was relatively dry. So there's a big dynamic concerning these things. But even in winter in the sun, it's always nice and warm, t-shirt kind of weather, while of course in rain it's kind of uncomfortable. But like I said, I enjoy winding down sometimes and integrating also. That's hard when the sun's out, right? And when it's beautiful outside. Rent is ridiculously high in the Algarve. I don't even know how the locals do it, but of course gentrification drives the prices to the moon. I wasn't able to rent a somewhat comfortable, clean apartment or house for less than 800 euro. And of course, during summer season, which is kicking in soon, the owners are renting everything out on weekly basis or daily basis on Airbnb for much more money. The traditional food is relatively meat and fish heavy. There's plenty of places, especially here in the Algarve, that are more progressive in that sense. You have vegan restaurants, vegetarian restaurants, delicious stuff. A lot of Indian places also. No shortage of conscious food opportunities. The people are really friendly, the locals by default, I feel. There is a nice conscious community around here. This is a hot spot. I'd say the triangle between Algesur, Lagos and Sagres. A lot of spiritual events, neo-spiritual events, a lot of surfers. I'm ranging somewhere in between those two, so I love it here. It's one of those spiritual epicenters like Goa, Koh Phangan in Thailand, some places in Mexico. To sum it all up, I always say Portugal isn't the best at anything, except for maybe pastel de natas, but it's pretty damn good at everything. The night skies alone. I've never seen as many stars in Europe as in Portugal. It's beautiful. So Portugal is probably the closest concerning a future home for me, but that doesn't mean that it's my favorite country in the world. I mean, look at that. It's just a random small day at the south coast. Such beautiful, playful, gentle surf, man. Have you been to Portugal, especially down here at the Algarve? And what are your impressions? Drop it in the comments. Okay, Mama India. India, man. I had the best 3 months of my life in India. And it took a little bit for me to understand what's going on. I've been there 20 years earlier and I didn't like it at all. Basically just tried to escape from all the noise and the pollution. Taken a 1-week drive from Delhi to Kathmandu. Oh, that was rough, man. But this time I wanted to know. So I stayed for 3 months, took the train all the way up from Mumbai to Rajasthan, checked out the entire county, then flew to Varanasi, faced the cremations, in the city of Moksha, the city of liberation. And then took a flight to Goa, where I only wanted to stay for 2 weeks. That didn't quite happen. I liked it so much there that I didn't leave anymore until the 3 months were over. India. For European standards, of course, life there is ridiculously cheap. I rented an apartment in Goa that cost me around 250 euro a month. And that's probably not even the cheapest you can get. It was clean. It was not far from the beach. Of course, gentrification has also gotten there. You can get a cappuccino for the equivalent of €2.50 there too, but I'd rather have a chai for a couple of cents. I love having the local hot beverage and watching the people go. It's not really about coffee here, it's just about the local feel. And there, it's chai. Love Indian food, man. It's beautiful, it's delicious, it's cheap, affordable, it's healthy, mostly, unless it's cooked in tons of ghee and butter. The Indians are, of course, conditioned totally differently to us Europeans. That might cause a couple of misunderstandings here and there. I remember I was very judgmental in the beginning and kind of overly careful, thinking everybody wanted to scam me. And of course, occasionally that happens in regions where there's a lot of tourism and poverty. But I've experienced everywhere in the world that the more you leave the tourist trail, the more generous and open-hearted and kind the people are. I had a couple of incidents. You can watch this video, link down below, where I experienced the transformation, where something happened to me that I didn't see coming, and ever since I looked totally differently at the people in India and really opened my heart to them. And yeah, I have a lot of love for India and the people. The weather ranges from obviously cold and snow to tropical weather because it's a huge country. The thing that struck me most about India is that India is everything. At the beginning, you get triggered left or right. It pushes all your buttons. But down the line, you will hopefully realize that it points you directly at who you are, like no other place in the world. And if you meet people there with an open heart, with an open mind, you're gonna have a great time. Of course, it's noisy, it's loud, it's chaotic, it can be polluted, but that somehow goes hand in hand with a certain kind of freedom and gives you the chance for a big range of improvisation and playfulness with life. Everywhere people are holding ceremonies all the time. People are dancing, playing instruments, bells are ringing, drums are being played. It's like a huge festival, many places, Hinduism is a big thing, of course, and it's such a deep science in itself. If you think you get it, you don't. And when you realize that you don't get it, that's probably the closest thing to getting it. I've experienced the most insane traffic situations there. People will fight for every inch in traffic. It looks very reckless. It kind of is kind of reckless, to be honest. But people are used to it. I'm sure accidents happen, but the standard is just different than ours. Survival is important, but if you believe in reincarnation and potentially liberation from samsara, the cycle of rebirth, then survival might not necessarily be the most important thing. I've seen dead bodies burn in Varanasi. An incredible experience. First shocking, then just kind of heartwarming because of the open, natural way these things are handled there. Goa had a big expat scene. A lot of tourists of all kinds hang out there. Big Russian crowd and some people that drink heavy and party, like in places like Magaluf, Majorca, and other brainless places. But then you also have, the neo-spiritual community that adds to India's deep-rooted spiritual wisdom, almost like reinventing certain things that have always been there. Pranayama, now called breathwork, tantra retreats, which are sometimes, I feel, a bit dodgy as opposed to the original tantra. You have ecstatic dances and cacao ceremonies, It's really lovely. It's a really nice community, and I love the people there, man. I love the travelers. I love the locals. It was a great time. You even have some surf. When I was in Goa in December and January and February, most mornings provided fun little surf. It was amazing. And I hear if you go down to Kerala and even close to Chennai, there are really good waves in certain seasons. I haven't been to the south, but I hear it's even more beautiful. And I can't wait to go there. So yeah, India is my number one in terms of the time that I had there. Would I want to live there? I don't know. I'm conditioned totally differently, but I will gladly spend a good amount of my lifetime there. Have you been to India? Tell me your story in the comments. Now let's head a bit more east. Thailand. That was the first Southeast Asian country I visited. I was 28 and I couldn't believe how amazing it was. That was in 2002. What can I say? I totally fell in love with everything. The food, I love those street markets. The people are just so nice and gentle. No macho attitude at all. Of course, also in big cities, where the tourists go, the greed grows. People are confronted with things they don't have, they can't afford, and of course that creates a certain division. I was offered food in the economy class of the local train from Chiang Mai to Kuala Lumpur multiple times a day by strangers. Such lovely, nice people in general. Then I could rent a very simple wooden little bungalow right at the beach at Hat Yao and Koh Phangan for €5 a night. Now that's not possible anymore, of course, due to gentrification. You got all the things you like here in your comfort little bubble of Europe. All the nice coffees, the cheesecakes, and European food, French fries and all that crap. And prices according to that. Also, I hear that the Russian-Ukrainian war didn't help, and many of the Russian people went there and drove the prices to the ceiling. I hear accommodation is now like 4 times as expensive. A house in Koh Phangan, not even first row on the beach, costs between 700 and €1,000 now. Back then I felt like I was breaking out from prison. I rode my first motorcycle without a license, like a 800cc chopper for 2 weeks. I thought I wasn't having that alone. Back then a meal was around €1.50. Now I think it's maybe double. Of course you can spend a lot more. There's some surf at some beaches in Phuket. Kata Beach, Kata Noi, Rawai, Nai Harn Beach. You have some waves there. I literally had one of the best surf sessions of my life there. Randomly, I didn't even know there was surf there. I rented a board and it was the most beautiful golden sunset and like shoulder high, perfect longboard waves. I was in heaven, man. Got out of the water, got myself a fresh coconut, ice cold. Amazing. Big conscious scene in the neo-spiritual epicenter of Thailand, Koh Phangan, Zen Beach. Beautiful place, a lot of fun. Would I want to live there? I love Thailand. I could imagine spending a lot of time there. Of course, the visa run situation is kind of annoying. You have to leave the country every 3 months for a certain amount of time. Same goes for India. The culture is totally different to the German culture, of course. It might seem that there are a lot of similarities, but if you spend a longer time there, you notice that the people are totally differently socialized and conditioned, which I feel is great. The bureaucracy and stubbornness and sarcasm in Germany is getting on my nerves, and I can't deal with it anymore. The north of Thailand is beautiful too, around Chiang Mai, with a beautiful city. You have a lot of traffic, a lot of beeping, pollution, There are no restrictions for these things, it seems. There's some corruption with the police, like in India. If you are a Farang, a white man, like a gringo, there are chances that you might get ripped off by the police. So you want to be careful. But I feel like if you're respectful and stay low-key in all those places, you can have a wonderful time. And I don't even blame those people, The way some of the tourists, some of the expats act there, showing off their money, their wealth, drinking like idiots, partying, destroying things, like disrespecting the culture. I get it, man. Let's go to Indonesia, and I'm not only talking Bali. I love Bali. I've been there a couple of times, spent a couple of months there every time. The last time I was there in 2018, I hear things have changed a lot also due to the war, but also gentrification in general. Prices have at least doubled. I was able to rent a beautiful place with a pool for around €30 a night. These days are over here. Surf is obviously amazing, great for learning, big soft waves, hollow tubes, everything you ask for. The popularity of surfing there has skyrocketed too. And even then, in 2018, I would paddle out at 5:30 in the morning, would be alone at first light, and literally half an hour later, there were 10 people in the lineup, so it's crazy. Food is awesome, nasi goreng, mee goreng, noodles, rice. Of course, you have a lot of gentrification, places like Canggu and Ubud and even Seminyak. I felt like Kuta back then was still like the Irish pub kind of headquarters, the Magaluf of Bali, the Patong of Bali. People in generally I found were really, really friendly. But of course, same goes for Indonesia, where there's a lot of tourism, where there's a lot of disrespectful Australians. People get nasty too. As far as vegan food goes, Bali is like heaven. In general, a lot of very creative hybrid food. You have a mix of traditional Indonesian food and modern European cuisine. Some of the most delicious things I've ever eaten. Very creative. good musicians, man. Really good live scene, like good bands, which I can't necessarily say about the bands in Thailand. I'm sure there's good traditional music, but every time I saw Thai people try to play American or English modern music, like rock, pop, folk, didn't end very well. I've seen amazing singer-songwriters and bands in Bali and places like Badung and Yogyakarta. If you go further west or north, it's beautiful, it's empty. Places like Medevi have amazing surf. Yogyakarta was an amazing city. People were so open-hearted and invited me to open mic nights and guided me through the city for free. Really just genuinely curious about me as a person and my story and heritage. It's a lot cheaper outside of Bali. Another beautiful place is Batu Karas, close to Badung. It's a 6-hour bus ride. Awesome long board spot, nice right point break. Beautiful place, man. At least in 2018. I don't know how much it changed. After like staying in Bali for 2 consecutive winters, each 3 months, it really felt like home. I really loved it there. Of course, you want to be careful with the local authorities. You know, I had to bribe my way out of certain situations, not wearing a helmet and stuff. I've seen some of the local police really mistreating the locals in a very bad way, like slapping them on the head during traffic, stuff like that. Stuff you can't even imagine in Germany. Yeah, it's a wild world, man. And that provides you with a lot of chaos, but also with a lot of freedom. Traffic in Bali is ridiculous. The ratio of mopeds and people, most places in Canggu and Seminyak and all these places are so congested, it takes you hours to get from A to B. And it isn't even far. In Batu Karas, I was asking a friend if they knew a good massage therapist for surf-related problems. I was recommended a guy. I drove there, was a Muslim family. The guy gave me an amazing massage. And what he didn't know is that I am familiar with the Muslim prayer. I know the words because my dad is a Muslim and I learned these words when I was a kid. And I was just amazed that the guy was actually praying for me while he was blowing on my shoulder blades, massaging me. And that goes to show you how genuinely kind these people are. You know, that's probably because the US haven't yet bombed the shit out of this country. It's just sad to see how places are so demonized these days by, you know, the powers that be that control the media and all that. I mean, I'm going to reduce it to 5 places, even though I've been to many more. Most places in the northern hemisphere don't qualify, except for Iceland, man. Iceland was so beautiful in July. You know, the sun doesn't even set at all. And if you check out all these waterfalls and hot springs and volcanoes at nighttime, there's nobody there. No tourism. You are alone, like Jurassic Park or something. I mean, it's ridiculously beautiful. Youngest country in the world geologically. You don't even know what it's going to become most places. It looks like a young rainforest here and like glacier there and like, it's just incredible, really. But I only spent 2 weeks there recording a record back in 2010, so I can't really say much about it. It's probably going to be a pain in the ass during wintertime when the sun doesn't even really show up. So number 5 is really the island of Lanzarote, the northernmost Canary Island. I've lived there for a year and traveled there many, many times and spent many winters there because the energy of this place vibes exactly on the same frequency as my heart. It's incredible. Surf there is incredible. I know all the surf spots. It's like 40 different surf spots all around the island. The exposed west, very powerful, and the more sheltered east coast. The north and the northwest in particular are the most beautiful places for me, whereas of course, like on most Canary Islands, the south and the southeast, most shelter from the ocean and the energy that brings is more touristy, and you have the Irish pub, French fries kind of scene hanging out there. I found this place scrolling through Google Earth in 2015, looking for potential places that might have good surf. And then I saw this beautiful mountain range right by the ocean, exposed to the west coast of the Atlantic. This place, Famara. Traveled there. I always preferred the tropics because of the constant, beautiful, warm and humid weather. And despite the dry climate and the volcanic landscape, with barely any trees there, I fell in love with the place and traveled there ever since until I moved there 3 years ago. Stayed for a year, had to fly back and forth to Germany all the time due to my job as a touring musician, which proved very stressful. I was missing a like-minded community. The spiritual scene there is tiny. A few people, little things are organized. Music scene is pretty much reduced to Irish pubs. That was the reason I left again. But the land, incredible. The few friends that I have there, really nice people. Very affordable. Gas is a lot cheaper than here on the mainland. Groceries I found were also cheaper. The rent also cheaper. Then Now it's changed and the rent is just skyrocketing everywhere. The center of the island is the Timanfaya National Park, a volcanic system. I heard one of the biggest in the world. The last eruption was 275 years ago and pretty much destroyed the whole place and left the center a field of rubble. Yeah, it's just very dry. When rain falls, it turns into like Hawaii immediately. Flowers are sprouting, the steppe turns green, you know. The energy, the mountain of Famara, you know, the Risco is just some of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. You have big wave spots like La Misteriosa, you know, La Santa is a very exposed surf spot with free breaks that are incredible. The East Coast has plenty of also amazing advanced surf spots. But you also have like places like Famara where, you know, you can learn surf, and Arieta and all these places. Local food, a lot of fish, a lot of seafood. I remember mojo rojo and mojo verde, the Canarian potatoes and, you know, the little green bell peppers. Loved it there, but I was getting too lonely. Localism. Some of those boogie boarders in Lanzarote are just total man. Overly aggressive. I understand that it's your spot and I understand that it can be annoying to be swarmed with beginners and even advanced surfers in your lineup, but bring it down a notch, man. I had a conflict with one of the guys. Total Needless to say that there are also a lot of really lovely, cool local surfers there also. Oh, you always have a black sheep anywhere. Another one that stands out was Malaysia. I really loved it there. Loved Kuala Lumpur. Such a diverse, colorful, flavorful city. Sherating, little nest at the Malaysian East Coast where you have a really nice left point break. Cozy little place. Back then, 2018, I think that was also. I was there a couple of times. Also the islands, Pulau Tioman, Pulau Perhentian. Incredibly beautiful. But that's it. These are my favorite places in the world so far, and I've been many places. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you can relate, drop it in the comments. Let me know your favorite place on this planet, both to travel and to live. Let me know. Thanks, and please subscribe.